All right. Hey, y'all. I am Jennifer with Spark Flash Fiction, and tonight we are here with Kelsey Messner. Now, Kelsey, I forgot to ask you about your last name. So, did I say it right or did I botch it?
Messner, yes, you got it.
All right. So, let me introduce Kelsey real quick, and then we will hop into the all important questions. So, Kelsey is a northern Wisconsin native who brings UFTA to upstate South Carolina. Between school car lines, reading library books with her three kids, and letting the bread dough rise, Kelsey writes short fiction. So, all right, Kelsey, what fairy tale did you base your story off of, and why did you choose that one?
So I chose to write about Rapunzel. When I saw the fairy tale prompt, I was so excited because I have always loved fairy tales in all their variations. But as I started thinking about ideas, she came to mind pretty quickly. And then I was thinking about what could be a modern adaptation of Rapunzel. And of course, with the hair, that gets you thinking about salons. And the more I thought about it, the ideas just gelled, and it was a joy to think through. I think part of it for me is Rapunzel is such an interesting character. She has obstacles to overcome like most, but what's interesting about her and her story is there's this psychological component as well. Certainly she's in a tower, which makes things very hard, but you imagine there must be a way that she could escape if she wanted to, like we see in Disney's adaptation Tangled. And so I think it's interesting to explore, well, why would she stay? Why wouldn't she try to free herself? And that's something that I wanted to explore in my story.
Now, how did you come up with the idea of a salon owner who uses her to show off her hair products?
Well, I was thinking about Rapunzel and how she's always had long hair, and thinking, okay, so she has some sort of relationship with a salon owner. And right away I pictured this cantankerous little old woman who's always had her little downtown salon, like I used to go to with my grandma for many years. And thinking about, okay, well, what did this woman think when this girl comes in with this gorgeous hair, and she's thinking, I can use this lustrous long hair to try to sell a product online, and that's what she does.
I love that. That was brilliant. So now I have to wonder if you loved Rapunzel as a child. Like, was Rapunzel your favorite fairy tale as a child, or was it something else?
Good question. So my favorite growing up was Sleeping Beauty. I thought there couldn't be anything more romantic than a princess who had a fairy cast a spell on her and had to be rescued by true love's kiss. I mean, what could be better than that? So I always loved that story, and having a valiant hero who would have to come to her aid. But that changed for me. I think if I had to choose now, I would, and I love fairy tales, like I said, so it's hard to choose one. But I have grown very fond of Beauty and the Beast. I think that they both characters have such a rich backstory. Right off the bat, you've got this beast who was a prince, he had it all, and then he was a big jerk and a fairy cursed him. And then you think about the Belle character and how she's sort of vying for the attention of her father, and he sort of favorites her, and then she gives up everything to rescue her dad. So backstory is amazing. And then I love to see the progression of both of their stories and the ways that they change and make each other better. So I think that one is probably my favorite now.
So, since you like Beauty and the Beast now, that's kind of become almost like a trope in romance. Like, you hear people talk about the Beauty and the Beast trope. Do you find yourself reading a lot of books with that trope?
Well, I definitely can see. So, what's interesting about Beauty and the Beast is it's sort of like enemies to lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one that I definitely gravitate towards. I blame it on Jane Austen that when I first read Pride and Prejudice, I immediately loved the idea of these characters who could not abide the thought of the other, and they slowly find ways that they are drawn to that other person, and then ultimately that they both make each other better. So definitely enemies to lovers is one of my favorite tropes. But conversely, I also love friends to more, because I think that any good relationship starts with a platonic appreciation of the other person without wanting something else from them. So I think that one also is a close second favorite.
All right. Now, my next question. You have written for a lot. Like, you're one of our veterans. And you have submitted a fantasy story to us before, but you've also submitted a lot of contemporary stories. So what is your favorite subgenre of romance to write?
I would say now my favorite is contemporary romance. I find it satisfying to explore characters who are facing real life relatable issues. And since I write contemporary Christian fiction, I like to see the overlap of real life challenges and how faith intersects with that. Characters who are facing real problems, and they have to face them in light of what they believe about God, what they believe about his world, what they believe about themselves. So that's definitely something that I like to explore in my writing. And then, I mean, romance, and everybody's drawn, I think most people are drawn to romance. It speaks to our innate need to be loved. So romance is almost always part of what I write.
Well, speaking of romance, what do you find yourself drawn to when you're reading that might be a little different than when you're writing? Like, we talked about how you said you like enemies to lovers and you like friends to lovers. And, I love the marriage of convenience trope, but I find myself writing the friends to more trope. So do you find your tastes are a little bit different versus what you find yourself reading the most and what you find yourself writing the most?
I really don't see too much variance with that. I think that I'm most in reading, I'm most interested in characters that I relate with. And then depending on what trope is at play, I can be engaged in any of them. And honestly, I don't get tired of it. Like the, love triangle, all of it, it's fine with me if it's told well and if it's about people that I care about.
Those love triangles, those are like a hot topic.
Yeah, they are. A lot of people hate on the love triangle, but there's a reason that it works well.
I have to agree with that. Now, so we've been talking a lot about fairy tales. So have you read any retellings lately that you just loved and you're like, I have to go tell somebody about this book?
I have a few favorites. They are not super recent, but I grew up on Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. My mom read it to me probably several times, and then I read it several times. And I have just always loved Ella's character. She's so spunky and funny, and Char is gallant and wonderful, and it's a great retelling. And I got to read it to my daughter recently for the first time, and it was this lovely full circle moment where I was getting to appreciate something with her and live through it for the first time again. So that was super fun.
Oh, that is fun. Exciting.
Yeah. I do also I know Robin McKinley has done a lot of fairy tale retellings, and she does a great Sleeping Beauty retelling called Spindle's End. A lot of rich backstory with the characters. Why is the fairy so angry that she didn't get invited to the christening? Well, you get to find out in her story. That's a great one too.
And those sound like great recommendations. Now, I have to ask you, though, because Ella Enchanted does have a movie, and I've read the book, I've watched the movie. There's not a lot of similarities. But oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, go ahead. It's okay.
Well, I was going to ask, did you find yourself enjoying the movie, or were you one of those people that was, instantly angry?
I was devastated by the movie. I am not going to lie. It was such a far cry from the book. And what's even worse is I think that the liberties they took with the storyline made it a far inferior story. I think if they would have stuck to the original, it would have made a lot more sense and it would have been just completely better. It was the movie I prefer not to think about its existence.
Well, it was interesting. I will say that. I think if I had not read the book first, I would have loved the movie.
Maybe so. That's fair. That's fair.
But all right, next question. Of course, we got to talk about books. So tell me some of your favorite sweet romance authors.
Well, I have a couple of new favorites that I'm excited to share about. One of my favorites recently was by T.I. Lowe. She wrote Under the Magnolias, and it's a wonderful, nostalgic 80s and 90s love story set in South Carolina. And it has a strong female protagonist who has to pick up the pieces after her mom dies and take care of all of her siblings. But she's also faced with the opportunity of love. And it's just a great, gritty coming of age story. Really well done. Also, I just finished today, actually, Nicole Deese. She has a new series, the Fog Harbor romance series, and I think the third one is coming out pretty soon. But I just finished The Words We Lost, and it was a really well done, deep look at love and grief. And the protagonist, she works as an editor at this book company. She discovered her friend's ability to write and helped her become this very famous writer. But after her friend passes away, she's actually lost her ability to read. And it's based loosely off of Nicole Deese's own life and loss. And so I really appreciated what she had to share in that book about what she learned from her experiences with grief. Then, of course, I love Rachel Howe, Catherine Ray. There's some great romance writers. They have unique things to bring to the table. And also, I just this summer too discovered Kimberly Duffy. She does historical, and her Tapestry of Light was a really beautiful novel and great landscape. A lot of it takes place in India, so you get to travel somewhere new and exciting. So lots and lots of great writers out there.
There are a lot, and it's hard to get done with your TBR.
Yeah.
But mine just keeps growing and never diminishes.
Nope, it's so true. So true.
All right, so now we're going to do a rapid round where I'm just going to shoot some things at you and give you a choice between two things, and you're going to pick one. Okay?
All right.
First off, plotter or pantser?
I guess I'm going to say plotter. I used to be a pantser, and then I realized that when you don't make a plan, you just have to redo things 1,000 times, and it's sad.
It's very true. All right, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee? All right. Early bird or night owl?
Unfortunately, I am neither one. But I will say that my kids have made me more of a morning person because I have to get up at like 6 o'clock every morning. So I guess morning.
All right. Ebook, paperback, or audiobook?
So I used to love paper, but now I pretty much only do audiobooks because I have to multitask if I want to read anything at all.
Understandable. Okay, now this doesn't have anything writing related to it. This is just mom related.
Okay.
Which one is worse, the drop-off line or the pickup line?
Ooh, I would have to say the pickup line. It seems to take way longer.
Yes, I have to agree. It's awful. All right. Now, where is the best place, Kelsey, for readers to find and connect with you?
So you can either go to my website. I have a blog at kelseymessner.wordpress.com. And there I have links to my other short stories I've done and any writing news, updates, book recommendations, all that good stuff. Otherwise, Instagram is a great place to connect, and I try to keep up to date with all the books I'm reading and hopefully writing news when I have something coming out in Spark. So those two would be the best places.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Kelsey. And thank you, everyone, for watching, whether it's live or on the replay. And if you haven't read Kelsey's story yet, I'll make sure to put a link in the comments so that you can go and check it out. So everyone have a great night and get some reading done.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate you.
Thank you.